Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapisa Sibili. In our first story, relatives of 3 accused persons standing trial for the murder of social media activist Ibrahim Mohammed in Accra were left disappointed as the court adjourned the case for the 4th time. As relatives anxiously waited at the Asoka District Court complex for the arrival of the 3, the prosecutor asked for the case to be adjourned. Oiming Teria of our security desk has more.
Isaka Ibrahim, also known as Enyas, Fuseni Alasa and Idi Mohammed were remanded after their maiden court appearance on July 2, 2021. They were remanded again into police custody on July 22, 2021 and reappeared on August 12, 2021. Among the 3 accused persons, only Idi Mohammed has a legal representation at the court. Isaka Ibrahim and Fuseni Alasa, both known to be New Patriotic Party polling station executives in Accra, have been without legal representation since their arrest on June 28, 2021 at about 10:45 p.m. The police delayed in transporting the accused persons who have been in their custody to Thursday's hearing. The court was compelled to call the case but re-adjourned for the 3 accused persons to reappear on September 7, 2021. The prosecutor, Chief Superintendent Kofi Blaguji, told the court the case docket has been forwarded to the Attorney General's office for advice. He later told journalists the adjournment is to enable the AG's office peruse and advise on the case accordingly.
They'll put their inputs, they'll peruse the docket and advise accordingly. So they are on their way coming. But it's unfortunate that the trial judge couldn't wait, so we have to adjourn. Okay. And as we indicated to the court, that we forwarded the docket to the AG's office. So definitely the AG has to peruse the docket, advise on it, and we'll see the way forward.
Relatives of the 3 accused persons who were in court were, however, disappointed. Some had gathered at the Asoka District Court complex premises, perhaps to catch a glimpse of their loved ones, only to be told the case had been called in their absence. With the exception of the family of Idi Mohammed, who spoke to the media, the rest declined comments as they left the court premises, talking to themselves in groups. Rahinatu Ibrahim, a sister to the late Kakamecho, told journalists the family seeks justice for their brother, Idi Mohammed.
Justice is all we demand. We want the authorities to investigate the matter thoroughly and give a fair judgment. We have no problem with the fact that he was not brought to court today.
Oh, I know they are hard in it.
All that we want is for the truth to come out. We are not perturbed with today's adjournment. The reason for us being in court is to seek justice for him. All we need is justice.
Justice. From
Kumasi, for JoyNews, Oiming Teria reporting.
You remember the contempt case against Kennedy Ajapong in the High Court and the Supreme Court's decision that the trial judge rescue himself from the case? Well, last night, Supreme Court Judge Justice Yoni Kulendi explained that the Supreme Court prohibited the judge presiding over the trial, Justice Amos Wuni, from continuing the case because he had made comments that he showed that his mind was made up on the case even before the MP would open his defense. The judge summoned the Sin Central MP to answer charges of contempt for allegedly going on live television to use unprintable words on the High Court judge. Now, this is the first time the judge was explaining the judgment publicly.
To anything they are over familiar with. So if you man a police cell, you've never been in that cell, your attitude will be different from the one who is manning it, who has been in there before. And if you man the sanctuary of justice, you are the chief priest. I mean, you should see how judges can sign orders without seeing the prisoners. The law doesn't even allow that. But it's a measure of how you can become desensitized. What can I do? In the way that the system works, sometimes there's not much you can do at a personal level beyond what your official space allows you to do. So as a justice of the Supreme Court is the highest appellate court, and so really by the time the matter comes to you, the matter would have been appealed, the trial would have gone on, the person is convicted, and then it's speaking about criminal matters before it comes to you. And so it will be once in a while. So you're not like the magistrate or the circuit judge who goes to sit down every day and you have 50 or 20 or 30 criminal cases on your course list to deal with. It will come our way once in a while, and it is those who fight the system all the way up to the very last. So that is when I'll get to be working as a judge in a matter like that. But the good thing is that when you do, you can then lay the example and set the rules. And at that level, when you set the rules, then every court must follow the rules.
The Amansi West Police have arrested one suspect in the alleged beating to death of a 32-year-old minor at Manso, Asaman in the Ashanti region. Ernest Kwabena was allegedly assaulted by his colleague miners, accused of stealing gold worth 150 cedis. The police say they're close to picking up other suspects in this case. Naneo Jima has more.
Wife of the deceased, Ama Awandanga, sits in the midst of other tenants of the house in which she lived with her deceased husband, Ernest Kwabena. With their 2-month-old daughter on her lap, she mourns her deceased husband. According to eyewitnesses, the deceased is suspected to have taken gold valued at 150 cedis from the mining site. A video in circulation shows many of the mine workers looking on as two people are physically assaulted. The two are stripped naked and beaten with flexible pipes. It is alleged the two were assaulted on the orders of the owner of Napoleon Community Mining, whose name is given as Aya. Wife of the deceased, Ama Awandaga, says her pleas for them to let her husband go didn't yield any positive results.
I
was told by my people that my husband was being lynched. My husband was beaten till his manhood was swollen. The manager was rather laughing at us and alleging that my husband has stolen his gold. My husband has never stolen gold. He is an honest man. Upon all his pleas, he was beaten to death.
Ernest Kwabena Opoku died at the St. Michael's Hospital at Agroyesum, while the other victim is receiving treatment at the hospital. Ernest is described as witty, hence nicknamed Lowen. Ama strongly refutes the claim her husband stole from the site. Family of the deceased and owner of mining site, Aya, were invited to assist investigations by the Central Police Station in Kumasi. One suspect, yet to be named, has been arrested. Brother of the deceased, Daniel Kwatin, is hopeful the family will be served justice. We do not entertain thievery in our family. We are very sad that people will use such an excuse to lynch him. He has worked with them for a long time. Why is he now stealing from them? We will leave everything in the hands of the police. For Joy News, Nana Ojima, Kumasi.
Now, born and raised in the border town of Sampa, somewhere in the Bono region, 10-year-old Ebenezer was excited about the prospects of visiting Accra for the first time. But he will be left on his own shortly after arriving with his mom, who is now mentally challenged. Little Ebenezer now roams the streets of Accra by day and joins other squatters to sleep at the underbridge of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange at night. Manon Kranting has the rest of the story.
This was supposed to be another day for the Joy Clean Ghana campaign. As a team approached the underbridge of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, it was clear the area served as more than just walkways. From a distance, several people, mainly squatters, were spotted sleeping on cardboard, piles of pavement bricks, and dirty clothes. Not even the rocks planted as spikes could stop them from occupying the pavements. But why were they there?
Why they sleep here?
Oh, we here where they sleep.
Here where they sleep every day.
Yeah.
Oh, we here in the bed. Why the bed here?
Oh, everybody they feel they can bed. They some to the bed there.
Talk to me. You don't get house.
Oh, you know, say I don't get house, but the other way we did our.
You the hustle for here. Yeah. Where you from?
Me are from Adam. We sweep the wide and that way they live.
This work, I'll let you go.
We sweep the way they live.
What did they do for here? What did they do for here?
I carry kaya you.
They carry kaya you. Where you from?
I'm from Volta.
From Volta. When you come Accra?
2016.
2016. So since 2016, you did a rooftop.
Yeah.
So where you sleep?
I sleep the cemetery side.
Sleep for the cemetery side. You don't fear ghosts?
No.
Why you don't fear ghosts?
I didn't do any bad against nobody, so I didn't do it.
I don't get father and my mother in this earth. That one, you live my life for the estate, and me, I work the estate. I see this place, if I sleep here.
Then as they were ordered to leave, I spotted 10-year-old Ebenezer Opambo emerge from among the squatters. His faded shirt on the tattered pair of trousers was definitely not for fashion, and parts of his black sandals were peeling off, just as every old and overused footwear will. This was difficult to miss. Why was he under the bridge on a Wednesday morning and not in school? I wondered.
My village is for the sampan of BA. So my mommy take me to come here. Here I don't go to school.
The mommy brought you to Accra?
Yeah.
From BA? From
BA, yeah.
Okay, so where do you stay?
My mommy, me and my mommy, every time I come and stay there overhead.
I will later find out his mom is mentally challenged, a reason little Ebenezer has been left roaming Accra's perilous streets all by himself. The closest thing to a family Ebenezer knows in Accra is Rasta. The 27-year-old, himself also homeless, goes about hustling to be able to give Eben 1 Ghana cedi for food. But they could go days without any proper meal.
Oh, my name is Mama. Bakwese ablaboni ntina. If you are my Johnny, baby on more than 1 day penny more than mama. Mention me that one said you on mama, so that one is but me one crown on your mobile. It won't be you want to see 2 stadium the other day. With your mano.
Like Eben, there are hundreds of kids who are roaming the streets of Accra in search of warmth and support from a society that is constantly failing them. For now, though, that's all he has. For JoyNews, Manuel Kranting.
And I am Apito Sibidi with the AM News. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com.
Yep. In the newspapers. And,
all right, I'll start. Daily Guide, I start with the Daily Guide. And on the front page, serial killer grabbed, attempts suicide. Mary Sheikh refunds Sputnik cash, which is a story we've been telling for a while now. And fixing Ghana, a shared effort, that's according to the chief. And 21st Clinic CEO on it. let's get into the story. And I'll start with the serial killer grab story. So the 28-year-old man who brutally killed his wife at Degede, a suburb of Bibiani in the Bibiani and Yaso, the Quiet district in the Western region, in the Western North region on August 5, before fleeing, has been arrested by the police. Emmanuel Ochre Bafo is also on the radar of the police for the disappearance of a nursing student called Eva Boahema in November 2016 in Ofinso in the Ashanti region. Wow. 2016, and then there's another. The suspect was apprehended at Forukrum, a suburb of Kumasi in the Ashanti region, upon a tip-off on Wednesday evening. The Bibiani and Wiaso Bekwai District Divisional Crime Officer Superintendent said someone who confirmed the arrest and said the suspect attempted to commit suicide by trying to drink poisonous substance, but the police pounced on him to avert any trouble. So you see him on the front page with a certain bottle. I'd want to believe that whatever he was going to.
So they actually made him pose with the bottle for a picture?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Oh, that happens. Yeah, Ghana police. Okay, so yeah, that's the story. But there's a whole lot more. It details, it gives you the background of the serial, why they say, the police is saying he's a serial killer. It talks about the Eva's disappearance, the nursing student who disappeared, and then there's a Facebook expose, a matrimonial home, wife's murder. There's a whole lot in there. And then Mary Sheikh refunds Sputnik cash. It's on page 3. The office of Sheikh Ahmed Damouk Al Maktoum, a member of the ruling family of Dubai, has repaid the $2.47 million meant for the supply of Sputnik V vaccine to the government of Ghana. So after the payment, there are those who are saying, in fact, Afenyo Marking, the deputy majority leader, he says, okay, so he's paid the cash and that's it. I mean,
no, it's
case
not.
closed.
No, it's
but
not.
there are many others who are saying, no.
Of course not. What if he hadn't? I mean, what if he hadn't? Then would it then not have been okay? Because the issue is really not whether he paid the cash or not. The issue is the due process and the diligence and all of that needed to go into the making of the deal.
He lied to Parliament.
Exactly.
That's according to the minority. But the majority, deputy majority leader said he didn't lie to Parliament. Anyway, but the minority is bent on making sure that they bring him before Parliament and get him sanctioned somehow. All right, and Shell pays $111 million over 1970s oil spill in Nigeria. Murder suspect stripped of seat in Brazil Congress, and Taliban take 10 provincial capital in a week.
Wow.
And so here's a story about fixing Ghana's shared effort. That's according to Chura Chief. So the chief of the Chura traditional area in the Sunyani West district of the Bono region, Nana Afariminta, has said that the only way the country can be fixed, as being demanded, is for every citizen to play his or her part in the development. And Aminta expressed these sentiments on Wednesday when President Akufo-Addo called on him at his palace as part of his two-day tour of the Bono region. And remains steadfast behind the MPP government. Then in the centre spread. Okay, so I'm just taking note that it's the Daily Guide takes care of the centre spread.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, beautifully. They've left the margin and made it.
Very nice.
Okay. So my daughter changed my life for better. That's actress and producer Yvonne Nelson. She has said, giving birth to a beautiful daughter, Rain, has made her find true purpose in life. That, she explained, involves channeling her energies into more productive ventures to put food on the table and not go about slaying and showing off in public. Okay.
That's an interesting one.
Okay, yeah. All right. So Ghana Music.com marks 20 years of promoting strictly Ghanaian music. It features, it has a photo of Ni Abe Mensah. This is from Self-Medication as the chief executive of New Life Homeopathic Clinic.
Yeah, because self-medication is totally a thing, though, isn't it? I mean, we diagnose ourselves very, well, I don't know about you, but most Ghanaians diagnose themselves very quickly, you know, and prescribe very quickly. And then, you know, the thing about us is accessibility to drugs is not really an issue. So you know how in London or in the US, you cannot get antibiotics if it's not, you know, prescription and so many. And in Ghana, it's unfortunately it's relatively easy to get antibiotics. There are very few pharmacies that will insist on prescriptions. So it seems like the easiest thing to do, doesn't it? But, you know, like he's saying, there are a lot of long-term implications of medicating yourself, you know. So.
Okay. So on page 9, Ebenezer Esienyi is new GRIDCO chief executive.
Okay.
So GRIDCO has a new chief executive. Medical school, teaching hospital for Sunyani Ashesi lecturer holds youth leaders workshop. And then Chinese in critical condition after nightclub shooting. You want to hear the story. A 37-year-old Chinese man is battling for his life at the 37 military hospital in Accra after shooting incident at KTV nightclub at Tema Community 6. The victim, identified as Zhu Rongsheng, sustained 3 gunshot wounds in his lower abdomen and then his right buttocks.
Oh.
Yeah. Buttocks.
Oh.
Yeah. The victim
he's
identified...
okay though, isn't he? He's at the 37 military.
Well, they say he's battling for his life. The victim, identified as Zhu Rongsheng, sustained... he was reportedly shot by 2 Chinese, Luo Chuan-hee, alias Bullet, a 36-year-old nightclub operator, and Jiang Yonggong, alias, I guess, Omo, a 49-year-old mechanic. And the police in Tema have arrested Bullet.
Wait. Like these are Chinese who are running nightclubs and stuff, and
yeah,
Bullet and Omo.
Yeah. So you can get more on the story.
Wow.
From I mean, you know, to the extent that you're firing gunshots. Well.
Like, wow, I'm in shock, but okay.
Wild West. Police in Lantasel at Fiankonya. Okay, so the people of Fiankonya, a village near Dodowa and Manfro, under the Great Ningo traditional area in the Greater Accra region, have accused some personnel of the Ghana Police Service of taking their lands. According to the people, who are mainly farmers, their sources of livelihood have been taken away by the police personnel. They said the cemeteries, shrines, and water bodies have also been destroyed as a result of the police personnel taking over their farmlands. And it has a photograph of the head of Tay Apiaka Beniana family, Numo Mensa Beniana, addressing the media. I'm sure the new IGP would want to look into that, because the police are supposed to be cooperating or friends of the public, but where you go to a community and they accuse you of taking their lands, that's not good. Okay, Kwemuma Heni chairs ADB board, Robert Skill security man at gas station, and I think I'll end at this point because...
you are about to break your own record for how long you've done a newspaper?
But let me just end with the back page of the Daily Guide. Chelsea re-signed Lukaku for £98 million. And now Toshi gets tennis post. Messi hits the ground running. Faces Strasbourg tomorrow. All right, you take it over.
Okay, so I'm going to do the finder this morning. ADB records over 400% growth in 2020. Dr. Dampari launches horse patrol operations. And yesterday I saw the policemen on horses around the Togo Embassy roundabout in the morning.
I saw them sometime last week, yes, in Osu, around Papaya. I'd gone to buy food from my rice joint in Osu. And then I had parked at the spots. They came to me. Okay. They looked around and they said, "Are you the one with the vehicle over there?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Please move it."
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Anyway, so you'll be seeing a lot more of them. I'll tell you about it when I get to page 5, but you'll be seeing a lot more of policemen on horses. It does feel kind of wild west, doesn't it?
Yeah.
1.7 billion Ghana cedis of SNIT loans advances impaired. Now, this represents 94.7% of all loans and advances 442 million non-performing loans, and 70.8 million CD loans locked in 3 liquidated firms. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Fixing Ghana is a collective responsibility. Chief of Chura to Ghanaians. All right, well, let me just try and break this down a little bit. This SNIT story. So, an analysis of the quality of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust investments in loans and advances has revealed that 94.7% is impaired. Now, loans and advances of the trust amounted to 1.7 billion. Out of this amount, representing 94.7%, falls into stage 3 of International Financial Reporting Standards classification. This stage of the classification suggests that the loan's credit risk has increased to the point where credit is considered to be impaired. Now, this report is also saying that only 45.4 million Ghana cedis is not impaired, 26.8 million Ghana cedi losses to be written off, 442 million locked up in non-performing investments, 70.8 million invested in 3 liquidated firms, no return on 2 out of the 3 liquidated investments for 15 years, over $6 million invested in liquidated Ningo Salt Company Limit. I don't even want to continue because this doesn't sound good at all, and I'm sure that we'll be unpacking some of this for you perhaps next week, just so that you know where your money's going and all of that, but doesn't really sound good. ADB records over 400% growth in 2020, and it's International Youth Day. Not sure exactly when, but there's a story about that. And this year the theme is transforming food systems, youth innovation for human and planetary health. That is the theme for the celebration of International Youth Day. Now, there's also a feature on 9 stumbling blocks to success and prosperity in life and business. Number 1, the lack of a clear and concise vision, the lack of core values. Laziness is a sin and a curse. Failing to get sound counsel, your unwillingness to share with others, not asking God for what you want, failing to help your own family, an undisciplined life, and the making of excuses. Gosh, that's a lot, but there's 9 stumbling blocks. It's on page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Finder doesn't number their pages. It's on page 7 of the Finder, if you're interested in that. Okay, let's do the middle. Oh, see? Finder also has the margins in the middle. Okay, yeah. They just number the middle pages, I think. But the Finder also has the margins. Okay. So there you are, nicely done. Fixing Ghana is a collective responsibility. President Akufo-Addo commissions Bono Region Fire Service. Okay, all these stories have been in the newspapers the whole week. NYA launches youth agri-enterprise support programs to drive interest in the agri sector among the youth. Africa must build new consensus for unity and development. Interesting story there. Dr. Dampare launches horse patrol operations. Exciting. Maybe they'll give us a horseback ride or something. Probably not. My last stories coming from the Finder. Some sports. Oh, God. So, yeah. Hearts of Oak to know opponents in prelims today. Government to transform center of the World Golf Club to host the PGA tournament. That's according to Deputy Tourism Minister. And Ghana Police CID sets up team to investigate match-fixing scandal involving Ashanti Gold and Inter Allies. All those stories you can find in the Finder newspaper.
All right, we go to the Daily Statesman, and on the front page, Scholarship Secretariat commences interview for 140,642 applicants. The story is on page 4. Maybe let me just quickly go to that. Okay, so the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat is scheduled to commence its nationwide selection interviews for the 2021-2022 academic year starting from August 23, according to the Registrar of Scholarships, Mr. Kinsley Ajimang. He made this disclosure yesterday at a media briefing in Accra, where he stated that the selection interviews will be held across all 260 MMDAs in the country with strict adherence to the COVID-19 safety protocols. So if you're interested and you have applied, actually, then you should be ready for your interview. And then Fixing Ghana is our collective duty. That's Chura Chief telling Ghanaians. And IGP introduces horse patrol operations, which story we've seen in the other newspapers. And Ghana Health Service to begin offering Johnson & Johnson vaccine shots today. So let's get to that story. And it's on page 3. It says the Ghana Health Service is expected to begin giving out jabs of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in the Greater Accra region today, August 13, 2021. Vaccine shots in other coronavirus hotspots, such as the Ashanti region, will begin next Monday, August 16. We are hopeful that at least the Greater Accra region will start vaccination on Friday. Kumasi will be traveling today, so it will not be realistic for Ashanti to start tomorrow. Hopefully by Monday, they should also be able to start. The manager of Ghana's expanded program on immunization, Dr. Kwame Amponsah-Chano, said the vaccine shots will be going out in 11 districts, 7 in the Greater Accra region and 4 in the Greater Kumasi Metro. All right, so that's some good news. For those of you who have been waiting for a while now and wondering when the vaccines, the Johnson & Johnson vaccines will become available, so now we know it should be starting today, according to a story we have in the Daily Statesman. Tema motorway expansion contract not fully awarded yet. That's the Roads Ministry to the minority. So the minority, I told you about the news conference they had. It was captured in the newspaper, I think, yesterday, where they were saying that they wanted that contract abrogated. But the Roads Ministry says that it has not been awarded yet. So the Ministry of, let me read a bit. The Ministry of Roads and Highways has asked Ghanaians to ignore claims by the minority in Parliament that the ministry failed to follow due process in the award of the Accra motorway expansion contracts. And it goes on, addressing the media on Wednesday, ranking member, so that was a claim, but then the response is that in a media interview, the public relations officer of the Roads Ministry, Nasser Ahmadiate, said the government had not yet signed any contract to that effect. And quote, "We are not going to commence any project for now. When we are ready with a financial contract, it will first go through Parliament for approval. The ministry is a very responsible one and will do everything according to the law," he assured. All right, so that's right. Akufo-Addo appoints Kofi Jamesi as CEO of We Power Authority. And we have 2 new centers to support after established. Dr. Forite Nkran reappointed SNIT Director General. Licensed miners urged to practice responsible mining. And actually, that should be it, I think. Okay, Kim Kardashian, Kanye thought me to be more real. And Eminem ex-wife attempts suicide. And banning telenovelas will be hard to do. That's Ivan Kwashiga, famous film director.
Oh, telenovelas, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it for the Daily Statesman.
Okay, let me do the Daily Dispatch. A couple of, you know how a lot of people say couple of. I always say a couple of, and most of the time I mean a lot.
Yeah.
But a couple is actually two,
yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. So what's the word for a lot of a
Several.
lot? Ah, there we go. Several headlines. Doesn't sound as sexy as a couple of, but okay. The Daily Dispatch this morning: COVID-19 vaccine purchase wahala. Deputy Majority Leader confirms refund of $2.4 million by agents. UN experts describe Ghana's anti-LGBTQ+ as the bill as recipe for violence. Oh, that's interesting. I'll tell you about it when I get there. SNIT loses $11.9 million from liquidation of 3 investments. So the Auditor General released a report, I think it was 2 nights ago. And this issue of SNIT has come up. They are urging, the Auditor General is urging management to investigate the non-performance of the investments for all, to ensure value for money and ensure that officers whose action led to the loss are appropriately sanctioned for the loss. Despite the requirements of Section 90 of the Public Financial Management Act, the Auditor General said the trust has not received any returns in the form of value appreciation or dividend in its investments in 9 listed and 6 unlisted companies. So not sure what's going on at SNIT, especially since the Director General has been retained. It will be interesting to find out if he's going to try and fix it or how this happened under his watch. Anyways, okay, work stalls on 22-kilometer Dawa, Kolewa, and Yaboni quarters. That's the Asasewa Road. So They stopped work there. Eric Cyrus meets Professor Fred Bagonlui, an iconic engineer born in Ghana, made in America. All right, so the Daily Dispatch also has the middle page separate template thingy.
Okay.
So great stuff. I think it's really just the Daily Graphic and the Ghanaian Times, yeah. The NPP in the role of official opposition, 1996 to 2000. Which team is likely to win the English Premier League next year? Oh my God, that's a question. And on the last page of the Daily Dispatch, facilitates the establishment of the Ghana College of Allied Health Professionals Radiographers Association to government. And that story about the LGBTQ plus bill also on the last page. So UN experts are shocked by the anti-LGBTQ plus bill before Ghana's parliament. And remember that this bill aims to make homosexuality an illegal practice in Ghana, but the experts are saying that this is a recipe for violence. The family values bill is something that's being spearheaded by some members of parliament, led by Sam George, and aims at making the practice illegal. So obviously, lots of divided opinions on that one, so I best not go into it. But hey, guess who joined us for the review this morning? The Daily Graphic.
Yep, the Daily Graphic finally landed. All right, so on the front page...
Israel, you don't have 11 minutes, though.
Okay, well noted.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Audit Service to construct 19 regional district offices. Deployment of single-dose vaccines expected Monday. So it's the same Dr. Achiano. Well, he's saying that... So the statement is saying it will begin today. But he's saying, in this story, he's saying latest Monday. So it's possible that it could...
But they quoted, both papers quoted. Yeah. Okay, so maybe, hopefully, starting today, latest by Monday.
Yes.
It's like when you have a lunch date and you say, oh, I'll be there around 12:31. Yeah, so...
Okay, and its energy sector recovery program, government saves $5 billion in 2019. Okay. All right, since I don't have all day, I will just move on before you come at me. And so Botswana gives houses to Olympic medal winners. You heard that story?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Yeah, Botswana has given each member of the country's Olympic bronze winning relay team a 2-bedroom house. The 4x400 team took Botswana's only podium spot at the just concluded Tokyo Games. So congratulations to them, and they're getting... home. That's nice. Yeah. Ethiopia rebels form alliance against government. Then move on to... Okay, so there's a tribute to Kapim Kruntihini, goes to the ancestors. So it's by Nana Kwesi Jana, a painting. And deployment of the single-dose vaccines expected Monday. So that story is on page 13. You can grab a copy of the Daily Graphic for that. Support government to fix the country. So the Chirahini is in virtually all the newspapers. He is saying that fixing the country is a collective endeavor. DVLA developed steering manual for truck drivers, work to retrieve artifacts, cultural treasures looted from Africa. That's Nana Kobna in Ketia. And no funding yet for Tema motorway projects. So that's the Deputy Minister. And it has to do with the same story with the contract being awarded and the Marity demanding that it be abrogated. And they're saying, no, we haven't gotten there yet. We strengthen grassroots governance, Dan Buche assures. And Audit Service construct the 19 regional district offices. So that story is on page 20. Let's get to festival to inculcate travel culture. Okay, there's a pull-out, looks like a pull-out, lifestyle tours. In the Daily Graphic, you can grab that. And yeah, amend law to empower special planning authority. And on the back page, government absorbs 60% of housing mortgage interest. Okay, that's interesting. It says the government has absorbed 60% of the mortgage interest rate for public sector workers who acquire houses under the pilot National Mortgage Scheme. The scheme is being implemented under the National Home Ownership Fund, which is dedicated to financing the housing value chain. As version according to a Deputy Minister of Finance, Mr. John Kuma, had led to the reduction of mortgage rates from an average of 20% to between 10 and 12% by the participating banks. The banks include GCB Bank Limited, Stanbic Bank Ghana Limited, and Republic Bank Ghana Limited. That's interesting, and people should take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Right? It's actually for public sector workers.
Yeah.
So that's a good deal. If you're having to pay mortgage rates of about 24% and they've slashed it to 10, between 10 and 12%.
That's very good.
Go for it. Go for it so that you wouldn't have issues with your
rent. Hashtag be like Israel. Shall we do some online stories now? Let's go to My Joy online this morning. We only have about 3 minutes. Okay. So the main headline there, Sputnik V deal. President's reaction doesn't mean Ajiman Menu won't resign or be sacked. That's according to Martin Pebu.
Yeah, I guess he's just trying to be optimistic.
Optimistic, yeah. Optimistic about somebody being sacked, the irony. Ghana's inflation under control, that's according to Deputy Finance Minister. Deputy Majority Leader confirms receipt of $2.4 million refunded by Sheikh Al Maktoum. UTAC strikes. Substantive issues have not been touched. That's Bright Reko Brobe speaking there. Ghana records 7 more deaths in COVID-19 fight. Lighthouse Chapel International mounts defense against 6 former pastors. Final year student in court for causing harm to teacher. Man arrested for allegedly stabbing wife to death at Bibiani. Israel did that story. And there is consistent decline in the unemployment rates. That's according to John Kuma. Those are the stories, My Joy Online. If any of them piqued your interest, you could head on there. Okay, so I think that's it for our newspaper review this morning.
Yes, so we're taking a break, and then after we bring you sports. Stay tuned in.
The Premier League is almost up on us because it will be happening within the next 24 to 48 hours as clubs get ready to see who would replace Manchester City as champions of the English Premier League. My colleague George Adejina is delivering us report from Manchester United and Manchester City. He has been to various camps and he's come through with previews that we'll be sharing with you. And Joy Sports is building up to the WBO Youth and WBC Youth Silverweight belts that will be happening later. And also, what happened to Team Ghana in the just ended Tokyo Olympic Games? President of the Ghana Amateur Boxing Federation, George Lamte, have got some interesting insight into what transpired. And what is your knowledge level when it comes to football? Do you think you are a boss of your own? If you think you are, then get ready to compete. I am Muftau Nabila Abla, and this is how I welcome you to AM Sports here on the AM show. Now, let's start with Joy Sports build-up that has begun for the WBO Youth and WBC Silver Youth Championship that will be staged in Tanzania. And my colleague, Nathaniel Ato, has details.
On the evening of September 4 in Accra, specifically at the Bukum Boxing Arena, there'll be a big night of boxing. Now, the WBO has decided to put up one of its major breaks when it comes to introducing young people to major world titles. So the youth version of the WBO featherweight title will be up for grabs. And guess what? This is the very first time that the WBO youth title is being put up for a fight night. And Box Office Promotions, in collaboration with all of its sponsors, has put together this big fight night, which will be featuring Ghana's Alfred Lamte and Idi Kayumba of Tanzania. Well, so today, what's been happening? Well, we came over here to Ashfoam for a sponsor's visit because they have been supporting the boxer all of these years. Well, the boxer has come to have a conversation with the sponsors ahead of this very big bout. Let's go over and have a conversation with our friends here. So, there we have George Massey, who's the general manager of Ashfoam. And this company has actually been very key on boxing. And I'll tell you the reason why. They've got about 4,100 factory workers here who are encouraged all of the time to get into various sporting disciplines, and boxing is one of them. George, good to see you.
Nice to see you again. Welcome.
But you look you look like you're ready for a fight yourself.
I was just discussing with Alfred if you can go a few rounds, but.
All right, tell me how excited you are seeing these two titles, and the prospect of having a Ghanaian boxer win this major bout.
We are very much looking forward. We have a lot of confidence in Alfred. He is young, he is determined, he is very focused, and we hope he can go on to win the title and become a world champion and an exemplary hero to a lot of millions of Ghanaians, millions of Africans and people around the world. We are very positive about the impact the positive impact he will have once he is the champion of the world.
Hey, great stuff there. Let's now quickly take a listen to the man who will be at the center of all of the action. Alfred, Tite. Okay. Biane be new no can titles ne. Wa mi no yo man be e kemo.
Minta man ke man be e fen ake. Ame bamlan. Le ka me bamlan ma po ya. Ni fe shu ake ma po ya. In opponent lengele around 7. Be na ba ka shot mo ran 8 alo ran 7. In po mo no means money. Mon fiamo aba support me. In France fen aba support me.
Okay. Well, Alfred Lamte is just assuring all his fans here in Ghana that he will end the fight early. Worst case scenario, it could go to the 8th round. If you come in after the 8th round, then you possibly are not going to see that big bout, which will have these two big belts at stake. Well, as they always say, the inside of the ring will tell, and Joy Sports will be doing a massive, massive build-up to this very big fight night, which is put together by Box Office Promotions. Well, these are my two companions for now. My name is Nathaniel Atto. Back to you in the studio.
Hello and good morning once again. This is the AM show, and earlier this morning when we're reviewing the newspapers, we talked about the rollout of the Johnson & Johnson vaccines which arrived in the country, and we're wondering, okay, so there was a bit of confusion. There was one newspaper saying that the vaccine rollout was supposed to start today, Friday, and then there was another that said, okay, later by Monday. Fortunately, we have been joined by Dr. Kwame Amponsah-Kyanu, who is the program manager, expanded program on immunization of Center of the Ghana Health Service, and he's going to be telling us all about that. Thank you very much, Dr. Achianu. So earlier in the week when we spoke with you, you indicated that sometime during the week we're going to decide how the rollout was going to go. Apparently, you've reached some decision. So please, can you tell us about how the vaccine rollout is going to go, the Johnson & Johnson jabs?
Good morning, Israel, but your voice is far away. I'm struggling to hear.
Oh, sorry about that. It probably may be the mask, because I'm going to shout a bit more. So I'm asking, what is the rollout going to be? What's the rollout plan for the Johnson & Johnson jabs?
Okay, good morning to your cherished viewers. Yeah, so a couple of districts will start today, but essentially by Monday all would have started. We did our training on Wednesday. It was a face-to-face training. This time we were able to include a district at the same time, the districts that are going to do this at the same time, because there are just a few of them, 7 in Greater Accra, 4 in Ashanti region. And so we agreed that by Monday all would have started. But of course, there are a couple of them who would be able to start today.
And what's the plan? Do we just walk to the vaccination center or to the districts that are where the rollout is happening, or the people who are supposed to benefit have been notified?
Well, so it's for the people who reside in the district. And so the districts are fighting out the communication and all the other issues in terms of stakeholder engagement to be able to get their residents vaccinated. You know, if you have 177,000 doses to share, you need to be strategic. And so we are thinking into where we'll get the most desired impact. And therefore, it's not something we're spreading across. If you spread across, it's not going to help. So we looked at our data and focused on districts that are considered to be hotspots. There are several hotspots. There are some that are hottest of the hotspots, and these are the ones we are engaging with.
So which districts are going to benefit?
Okay, so in Kumasi, in Ashanti, for example, it's Asokwa, Kumasi Metro, Kwadaso, and Oporiko. In Greater Accra, it's Ablekuma Central, Accra Metro, Adentan, Gasau, Okankwe North, Tema Metro, and Umkasamanso.
All right, so you've mentioned these districts, and the concern is that people are going to feel that, okay, they're offering us vaccines in our district, so let me just go to my district and go get it, or the health municipal, or what the doctor, the health facilities. But to avoid a situation where people are just going to rush there, that's why I keep asking, what is the plan?
So the plan is that we will go according to our the geographic segmentation which we have done. And then that's the choice of the district. The second tier will be the population segmentation. So we're still going to go according to the most vulnerable, being those who are 60 years and above, and then those who have underlying conditions. Suffice to say that you would remember the first rollout, we also looked at health workers and security agencies. Most of them have been vaccinated now, so definitely we'll have some spillover to the rest of the population, but the district will know how to do this.
All right. So essentially, you've left it to the district to communicate it to the people.
Definitely. They do what we call a micro plan, and we do the mega plan, and then they know it better. They do the micro planning and see how their movements will be, and when they are setting up, where they are setting up, and so on. So it's more of a local thing.
All right. Now, the other question that people have is, you've already indicated that the Johnson & Johnson jabs are not for those who have had the first dose of AstraZeneca or Sputnik. So for those people, when are they going to get the second jabs? Do you have any update for them?
Yeah, definitely. They should be calm. We are still working to get vaccines for them. Before the end of the month, we would have vaccines for the second dose.
Before the end of the month, you say?
Before the end of the month.
All right. Thank you very much. That's quite reassuring. So that's Dr. Mponsa Achiano of the Ghana Health Service telling us that, okay, so just relax. For those of you who haven't had your second doses, you're waiting for your second doses of AstraZeneca and Sputnik, he says just hold on. This current rollout is not for you. The Johnson & Johnson jabs are not for you. It's for those who haven't had it at all. So here, let me share with you the districts that are going to benefit. So for Kumasi Metro is one of them. And these are the health facilities where you can get them. So Maternal and Child Health Hospital, KMA Clinic, Menshia Hospital, Sepe Aprampram Health Center, Moshizongo Hospital, Mata Day Hospital, Suntreso Government Hospital, and County Hospital. So this is for those in the Kumasi Metro. And the key messages, they say, person 18 years and above are eligible for this vaccine except pregnant women. People who have received AstraZeneca or Sputnik V are not eligible for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So there's just reiterating it. So the districts, Kumasi Metro, Asukwa Municipal, Oforu Krom, and Kwadaso Municipal. And they're saying you should come along with your ID card. All right, so that's for those of you who are in the Ashanti region. They've indicated the districts that you can go to, or the districts that are going to benefit from the Johnson & Johnson jabs. We also have that for the Greater Accra region that has been indicated. Well, we had Dr. Mponsa Achiano indicate that those in the Greater Accra region that's going to start. So it's starting from some districts will start today, but we're told that he tells us that, you know, by Monday, all the districts should have
Quarter by Monday.
Now, it comes at a time when, let's get on to the COVID-19 dashboard, by the way, and get to see what the numbers look like right now. We have seen, I checked, and I noticed that we're having a decline in our cases. Let's go to the main dashboard first, and then we'll come to the various dates.
The more detailed.
Yeah, the more detailed ones. So if you look at the main dashboard, we have active cases of 6,545. That's August 8.
Yeah.
That's August 8. The new cases for August 8, 406 cases and 899 deaths.
Okay.
So
it was about 6,766 last week.
It was actually almost hitting 7,000.
Yeah.
But I noticed that it started to decline. So if you go to the dates, so we go to August 5, which was when it peaked. That's the highest we've had. So it got to 6,969.
Oh, wow.
That was on August 5. But subsequently, you come to August 4, you notice that there's been a decline, marginal decline, and it keeps declining. So from August 5, 6,969. Then you go to August 4, you see there's been a dip there. And then you go to, August 5, then August 6, then August 7, you're seeing that the figures, it's declining. So this is August 6. You notice that it's dropped to 6,922. Then if you go to August 7, it's declined again, which is good news, all right, but it doesn't mean that we should give up, or we're not out of the woods yet, that's the thing. So let's keep the mask on, let's observe all the protocols so that we can stay safe.
Yeah, we're still pretty far away from everything being good, because remember that we peaked at 8,000 during the second wave.
Yeah.
So that number is not very far off.
Okay, so from August 6, you come to August 7, and it's declined again to 6,765. And then when you come to August 8, which is the current, which is the latest that we have, it's come to 6,545, I believe. All right, but yeah, we're not out of the woods yet, so let's keep observing.
But Israel, sorry, I'm just thinking, so these are the active cases.
Yes.
Which means that people are recovering and being discharged. But what about the new cases that we're recording every day? So is that going up or coming down?
So if you have the active cases declining, it essentially means that we're having
more people getting
recover
than are getting sick.
New cases.
Okay. It would be great if we could see the numbers for the new cases over the period. But anyways,
you'd usually have to go over, put it out. They don't have the new cases.
They don't have the new cases like that. Yeah. Anyways, I think that, like you said, the most important thing is that we're staying safe, we're masking, we're washing our hands and all of that. But there was something that I was wondering, with what Dr. Achan was saying, I'm wondering how much education has gone into the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Because the thing is, and the reason I'm saying I'm wondering how much education is because we don't have a centralized database of those who have been vaccinated. You know your people. We know our people. They will say that, okay, we got the AstraZeneca, the first one, and we're not getting the second one. So we're going to go and say we haven't been vaccinated, and then we're going to go and get the Johnson & Johnson, which is just one shot, and then we will be fully vaccinated. The unfortunate situation with that, again, is that we do not have a central database of those who have been. I'm sure the government will respond and say that they have a central database. But even us, when we went to try and go and do our second vaccination, the system was letting some of us down. And so our names weren't even in the system that we had taken the first shot. Yeah. So it would be difficult to convince me that our IT or our technology is so top that this thing won't happen. And I think that a lot more education has to go into the fact that if you have had the AstraZeneca or the Sputnik V, do not go and get the Johnson & Johnson. Our people as well, again, we could say, oh, we've gotten the Sputnik V, but we want reinforcement, and so we're going to go and get the Johnson & Johnson. I'm sure people are going to be wondering, okay, if I got the AstraZeneca 3 months ago, what's the efficacy level now? If there's an opportunity to get a second shot, do I not want to do that? I haven't really heard these conversations.
Okay, so since we've heard it from Dr. Achano, I'd want you to reiterate to the viewers that Please go ahead. Tell them. Just look into the camera.
Okay,
Tell
so if you've had your first shot of AstraZeneca, this shot is not for you.
Or Sputnik.
This shot is not for you. The vaccines, even though they're all against COVID-19, they work a little bit differently. You don't want to mix them up in your system. It won't be the best thing for you. So don't feel like you need to go and get reinforcement by getting the Johnson & Johnson. Yes, the Johnson & Johnson is 1 dose and that's it, but it's not a substitute for the second AstraZeneca dose. Also, if you're fully vaccinated, getting another shot off of the Johnson & Johnson's is also not an option that you should consider. Let other people also have the chance and the opportunity to get some sort of immunity going for them. I think this is a time when we have to be absolutely selfless and not make selfish decisions concerning, and also have faith that if the government, and I know this is asking a lot, but if the government has said that we're going to get more AstraZeneca vaccines, especially for those who are waiting for the second shot, let's have faith that that will come. Yeah. So don't hide your COVID-19 card and say you haven't been vaccinated and try and go and get vaccinated. God is watching you.
Thank you very much, Enimwa. And I would want to also believe that if you go to the vaccination center, you're supposed to go with your ID card. So they take your ID card, and if they enter it into the system and it turns out that you have already been given the jab, then yeah, you could be in trouble. So just avoid that. All right, so let's move on to the rest of the issues that we have. We're doing, as I indicated earlier, we're doing a talk with our correspondents to find out some of the issues that are trending in their communities. We're starting in the Upper West region, and Rafiq has joined us. Enimwa.
Hi, Rafiki. Good morning. How are you?
You reminded me about how my grandmom used to call me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's good to see you.
She used to call me Fio Fio.
Oh, I see.
Fio Fio.
Yes.
What's that?
That's
she couldn't pronounce Rafik.
Okay.
My grandmom couldn't pronounce Rafik, so when I get to Tumu, they call me Fio Fio.
That sounds like you have a lot of fond memories of her. But Rafiq, let's get into the conversation. So shortage of fertilizer was a big issue this week. A lot of farmers complained that their produce had been affected, especially in the Upper West region. And we've been told that that was one of the worst hit or hardest hit areas. Do you want to just tell us what's going on with that, how the farmers are coping, and what the way forward is, if there is any at the moment?
Anymore, thank you very much. If you speak to the farmers, they will tell you that at the moment they are at their wits' ends because the season started with the rain not being good. So the rain pattern at the start of the farming season was erratic, and which also culminated in the delay of the subsidized fertilizer. At the start of the farming season, the price of the subsidy fertilizer was pegged at 49 cedis. In the open market, it was being sold around 102 cedis. And so, because of the shortage or the scarcity of this commodity, the farmers couldn't get it earlier. And so, because of that, many of them went into the open market to buy this non-subsidy fertilizer. And so, because of the many people who want the commodity, so the price shot up. As I speak to you now, the price of the NPK is now pegged around 180 and 220, depending on which area that you get these fertilizer. And so the farmers were not able to apply the NPK fertilizer, their phase dose on time. And so they have really had a lot of concerns. And so some of them who went into this 4 months seed, they had lots of worries about the NPK that they have applied. And so they are expected to apply this second dose, which is urea or sulfate of ammonia. As we speak in the region now, you can't get a bag of subsidized or sulfate of ammonia, be it in the open market or also the subsidy one in the market. It's not in the Upper West region. And so because of that, the farmers really have lots of fears that there could be famine in the region, because the first application, they didn't apply it on time, and then yet the second one too, they are yet to get it. So let me use myself as an example. You know, I do lots of farming, and so this year I am doing 500 acres.
Wow, that's a lot.
Now,
that's a lot,
500 acres that I'm doing. And so as I speak to you now, I was able to get, I needed 2,000, because each acre, if you are doing 25, you are using 25 kilos, that's the government subsidized fertilizer, you need 2,000 bags, 2,000 bags. I was only able to get 1,000 bags of subsidized fertilizer. So the rest, I have to buy it in the open. And so I bought the government fertilizer, which started at 49 cedis, but government revised the fee to 65 cedis. So I bought 1,000 bags of fertilizer at 65 cedis, one each. And so I went into the open market and I bought the sulfate to the NPK in the open market, each at 165 Ghana cedis. And so that's the trouble that the farmers are going through. And I have I'm into the outgrow scheme, and I have over 200 farmers who are under that scheme. And yesterday alone, I got over 30 calls from the farmers that they are still waiting for me to bring the fertilizer. And so we are here to apply the second application, and then now it's not even there. And so these things time is of essence. And so you need at least 2-3 weeks. We need to do this application. If not, we should forget it. And so if I'm going to go even in the open market, which is not even there, now they are pegging it around 200 or 220 Ghana cedis. Let me tell you one interesting thing. Now, the technicians, the people around the extension officers and the agriculture officers are telling us that now, because the sulfate of ammonia or urea is not available, we can apply Activa. You know, there's one of the fertilizers that are high quality, and so the one that we are supposed to use for the first dose, we're supposed to use it for the second dose. That is if it's available, and that's what most farmers are now resorting to. And so the picture in the Upper West region is not the best, and I can tell you that farmers are really crying and they are at their wit's ends.
Well, Rafiq, what is it that you're being told as to when this is going to be available? I mean, the fertilizer, the kind of fertilizer you're looking for the second application.
There's no news about it. There's no news. I have combed
and
you're
actually also saying that even those that is not subsidized is not available.
It's not available. You can't get them in the market. It's not there. It's not there. Israel, let me tell you, a couple of weeks ago, when people were even looking for fertilizer, you know the apples very well. They're heading towards Kumasi. You have to, some people have to lay ambush somewhere around Tuna and then Puyo and Tanga to wait for vehicles to buy fertilizer. It was not there.
Oh, you mean
you know that
the vehicles that are supplying before they actually come into the region, you want to stop them and buy them?
Yes, they are distributed. Israel, I went to around Tuna, I went to around Kulmasa on 2 occasions, but I couldn't get this fertilizer to buy. I was there between 5 p.m. up to 11 p.m. because when I heard that a vehicle was coming, because we are struggling, the farmers are struggling, and so you need to get this subsidy or this fertilizer for them. So sometimes it's not easy. You have to get these fertilizers because you are the one that they are looking up to, and so it's not even in the region. There's nowhere. We spoke to some of the agents. They told us that by next week things are likely going to be better, but there's no way in sight.
All right. Rafiq, it sounds like a really worrying situation. I hope that we can get to resolve this as quickly as possible so that we can have some fertilizer for the farmers, because otherwise the crops are going to fail.
Hello, Israel, let me tell you something. You know, sulfate of ammonia used not to be part of the government subsidy. It's only the NPK. And so government thought it wise, because they were not able to get the NPK subsidy for the people. They have now moved the subsidy to the sulfate of ammonia so that in the open market, per the statement that we had last week, sulfate of ammonia, which will have been up 65 cities, that's the 25 kilos, will now be sold under the subsidy program at 42 cities. Israel, how do you subsidize something that is not even there? So government came out and said that, okay, sulfate of ammonia is also subsidized. Now it's not even there. So how do you subsidize something that is not even there?
I get it. I get it. All right, thank you very much, Rafiq Salam. Yeah, I hope something happens very soon.
A very desperate situation. And the government has said that they are looking at it. But let's move to Ohiming Teria next. Now, relatives of 3 accused persons who are standing trial for the murder of social media activist Ibrahim Mohammed in Accra are disappointed because the court adjourned the case for the 4th time. Now, Ohiming has been following the entire Accra discourse, and he joins us this morning on the phone lines. Israel.
Hello, Ohiming.
Hi, Israel.
All right, so, well, they turned up at the courts yesterday, the relatives, and they say they're disappointed. What's next for them?
Yes, Israel, for the relatives, it was like a rapture because they had converged at the frontage of the Accra district court complex, awaiting the arrival of the suspects who have been in police custody since July 2021 when they made their maiden court appearance. But unfortunately, as they waited outside the court premises, then news came that the case has been adjourned to September 7th, when even the accused persons had not arrived at the court premises. The prosecutor, Chief Superintendent Kofi Blagoji, told the court, presided by Her Worship Akwedu Buahi, that then the prosecution will await advice and to see the next line of action as far as this case and the investigation is concerned. So for the relatives and the family members who majority of since the 3 accused persons appeared before court, they were disappointed, very disappointed, except...
Okay, Ohiming, we keep losing you somewhere along the line. Your line keeps failing. I don't know if it has to do with your connection, but your connection looks quite stable. So please go on. Yes.
I hope it's better now.
Yes.
Yes, let me remind our viewers that 3 people are standing trial in connection with the murder of, also known as Kaka Mechu, a social media activist who was murdered on 26th of June 2021 in Accra, which police says he was actually on his motorbike entering the family house at Dagombala in Accra, and when unknown assailants attacked.
All right, Ohiming's line has failed one more time.
According to police, they attacked his occipital region. Hello, Israel.
Yes, we lost you for a bit. But
yes,
Ohiming, I'd want us to just go to, I know you have contacts within the police service. Are you able to tell what exactly is going on?
As far as the investigations into the murder of the late Ibrahim Mohammed is concerned, we know 3 people have been picked up. The 2 of them are known to be MPP polling station executives in Accra, and the 3rd person, Idi Mohammed, being a brother of the late Ibrahim Mohammed, also known as Kaka Mechu. Police say they have been investigating the matter and they will need the 3 people to assist in their investigations, and that is how come, since the 3 made their maiden court appearance on July 2, 2021, they've been remanded to police custody on the plea of the police that they will need them to assist in their investigations. So for now, ordered a duplicate docket to the attorney, and they await advice from the Attorney General. So as far as the investigations are concerned, that is where we've got into.
So you get the feeling that the delay probably be coming from the Attorney General's department?
Apparently, yesterday's delay is yet to, according to Chief Superintendent Kofi Blagweji, they were still awaiting the arrival of the suspects who asked. So yesterday, as to how come they couldn't make it to court, is yet to be explained. Just that they tell you, yes, we're waiting the arrival at the court, but the court longer, and the presiding judge, Her Worship Accra Wahin, had to call the case, and when even the accused persons were not in, the case was adjourned.
All right. Thank you very much, Ohiming Tuya, for bringing us up to speed with that case there in the Ashanti region. We're staying with the Ashanti region and to the Mansia West Police, where they have arrested one suspect in the lynching of a minor. Nane Aljima has been following that story, and he joins us via Zoom with the latest on that. So, Nane Aljima, what's the latest with that story, the Manso minor being lynched?
So what we have now is that police have been able to arrest one of the suspects in the lynching of the minor, and the suspect is named Kwame Dapa, and he's 31. Police has also declared one other person mentioned by this this suspect who have been picked up as Culture. So police is now going after Culture, and through a video that the police have intercepted, they are also using that to identify other people they believe are suspects in this case. Now, according to the police, they've also been able to invite the owner of the mine concession, whose name has been given as Aya, and together with Aya, police is continue to investigate the matter and try to get other people who are involved in the lynching and subsequent killing of this miner, who was believed to have stolen gold worth 150 cedis from the mine concession, which is owned by
hold on again. Nane Aljima, you said the gold is worth what?
150 cedis, and that's 1.5 million old Ghana cedi. In the current cedi, we say 150 cedis.
And that's it. And they lynched him.
Exactly. So he was with one other person, and it's believed that they are the two who connived to steal the gold. So he was arrested, he was searched, and it's believed that they found the gold on him, and it's led to the lynching of the two of them. Fortunately for the other, he's still alive, responding to treatment at the St. Michael's Hospital at Accra. Now, police have intercepted this video that one of the people who were present at the grounds shot, and with this video, police continue to investigate to try and get other people believed to be connected to the lynching of the individual. And police say they are closing in on some of the suspects that were seen in the video.
Now, Nane Aljima, is gold that cheap there at Mansia West, or you're probably dealing with some insignificant amount of gold? Because 150 cedis, I'm trying to imagine how much gold that is.
Gold is not cheap in the Amansia West District. It's one of the hubs of small-scale mining in the Ashanti region. If you should, after Obuase, which has the biggest mine in the Ashanti region, Amansia West District comes second when it comes to gold production in the Ashanti region, and it's known for small-scale and illegal mining. Now, the issue is that from the investigation, or from some investigations I've done in some of these mine communities, the people who work in these concessions, they are alleged to be stealing gold in smaller quantities from their owners, and they keep these gold that they steal till they get a bar, which they can sell off and make huge amounts of money. So it's common that the stealing of gold by miners in concessions is a common phenomenon in these areas, especially where in illegal mining concessions, where the owner of the concessions will bring in people from somewhere to work on the concessions who are paid by day. So at the end of every day, they pay them. So these people, whenever they get opportunity, sometimes will steal from the owners of these concessions, and through that, they also amass wealth. So it's not that gold is cheap here in the Amansie West District, but the problem is that they still go in smaller quantities, and they are able to put it together and sell it off and make huge sums of money.
All right. Thank you very much, Nanea Jima, bringing us that update on the Amansie West lynching.
Yes, and let's come home now to Accra. And Manuel Kranting and the AMA team have been working to keep Accra clean. Now, he is joining us to tell us how they got squatters at Circle to sweep and clean the area that they made dirty. Now, remember, he's also bringing us, or he brought us, a story of a 10-year-old squatter, and would like to find out some more about that. Manuel, how are you this morning?
Hi, Nima. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too, especially after you were asking the gentleman who was sleeping in the cemetery if he wasn't afraid of ghosts. Yeah, Nobel Pulitzer Prize winning journalism. Anyways,
right?
Yes, indeed. So tell us about what you found out with the dirty streets in Circle and all of that, and how you got the Circle members to sweep and clean. How did that even happen?
Well, so yes, Wednesday's exercise was essentially, a community exercise to get the people, as it would be the offenders of sanitation bylaws, to get them to work. Now, you remember that the Greater Accra Regional Minister has been on a campaign to get the various district assemblies in the Greater Accra region to ratify and pass what he calls the Operation Clean Your Frontage bylaws. Now, under these bylaws, owners of buildings, households, etc., be responsible for cleaning the frontage of their buildings. Now, beyond the frontage, there are, gutters, there are roads, etc., which don't necessarily fall under the jurisdiction of any particular household or any particular building. And as it will be observed at very public places like the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, where you have lorry stations, etc., a lot of people, converge at these spots. And it's become a habit, a bad one at that people toss around their own litters, bottles of water, sachet water, and so on and so forth. They just toss them around in these areas. And so it's become a real challenge. And so the AMA sanitation officers went there on Thursday. And the aim was to get people who were the direct offenders to clean the area. And indeed, what we realized was that we caught people in the act. The people that we caught tossing litters around were the people that we caught, urinating along the road and so on and so forth. And so these people were arrested by the AMA officers. They were given rooms to sweep. But the main target, as it will be, were the squatters under the overhead bridge. And for a lot of the homeless people on the streets of Accra, they find a refuge in this particular area because it's not a bare ground. At least you have some pavement bricks. And so they put cardboards, they spread about these cardboards on the pavement bricks and then pass the night. And so by day, they are hustlers. Some of them are head porters. Some of them are driver's mates. Some of them, are people who assist the travelers to carry their loads and so on and so forth. And then by night, their home, as it will be, are these under bridges. And so we saw metallic, under the metallic beams of the under bridge, we saw jute bags there with their belongings, their clothes, their shoes, etc., etc. But the AMA officials will have none of that, and they cleared all of them from the place. Not only cleared them, but give them the rooms for them to sweep the places they have been passing the night. So we saw plastic debris. We saw, of course, packs of food, empty packs of food,
okay,
polythene bags,
okay,
water sachet, and so on and so forth.
Right. Okay.
And so all of these things that's the story.
Okay, so is it because of this cleanup exercise, in quotation marks, that this 10-year-old boy was then made homeless? Because presumably his home was under the overhead?
Well, anyway, I don't know, how proper it is to describe the underbridge as a home. So properly speaking, even before the AMA officers arrived at the area, this 10-year-old boy was already homeless. And that is why he was sleeping under the bridge. But now his only, record, which is the underbridge, is also being taken away from him because that place is dangerous, it's in the open. There are, unscrupulous people who pirate the area and so on and so forth. And so he's already homeless, but his situation has gotten even worse now because he does not have anywhere to turn to. The AM officials I spoke to said they were going to connect him with the Department of Social Welfare for them to take over his case. As of now, though, there's no hope for the boy as to how he's going to get reintegrated into the community. This is because his mom, as we've learned, is mentally challenged and he doesn't have any links to his original family anymore.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask you, where his parents are. But then again, this is also such the reality of why we need a working social welfare system, because our kids shouldn't be out on the street, not a 10-year-old boy sleeping underneath a bridge. Is heartbreaking, and we really need a system to work. He needs to have somewhere to go. He needs to go to school. He needs to be loved and taken care of. He's only 10 years old. So anyways, thank you so much for joining us, Manuel. As always, it's a pleasure to speak to you. All right.
Absolutely.
I was actually hoping that the AMA should have taken the boy from that place and sent him into a shelter.
Very good. There is no shelter, though, is there? There's no ready shelter.
Accra Metropolitan Assembly.
Yes, but that's
saying they're going to connect him to.
Exactly, because there
the
is no designated place. There's no place that you can just take him, which is what should happen. There's no system that's set up. Like, for example, in the West, if you take a kid like this, you have a list of temporary foster homes, a list of temporary vetted foster parents whose homes are available. You call them, you take the child there, you get child protective services to go through the process. He's, put in a home. There's none of that here. That is why a government institution can say to a 10-year-old boy, I am going to connect you. How are you going to connect him? With what? With a phone, with internet, with how are you even going to find him to connect him? And where does he sleep until you connect him? And this is how our government fails us every day, simply by not even putting in the systems. Forget if you're going to say we don't have money to build shelters, or we don't have this, or we don't have that. You're not even asking the public that, okay, why don't we set up some sort of temporary foster house care system or something with people who have homes and are open to take these kinds of children in. I've never heard that any minister, and let me just come to the minister for gender, and I've never actually heard him, whoever in the past till now, say that, okay, we're calling on the public. If I meant him in the future, I'm going back to before Nkrumah, whichever gender minister has been, is, was, and will be, has ever said that, hey, okay, Ghanaians, those who have homes, let's start a register so that when we find children like this, these kids can come and spend the night in your house, at least until we're able to set them up. No, we won't do that. We won't think about the ways that we can take 10-year-old kids off the streets and into homes. But somebody in authority will tell you that, oh, I'll hook you up with some welfare system. Hook him up how? Do you have his number? How are you going to find him to hook him up? Anyway, I'm just going to calm down.
Okay, so I would urge whoever's responsible should just go back and look for this boy and take him off the streets. Let's not fail them like that. We're taking a break here on the AM show. We'll be back in a bit.
All right, well, welcome back. And we're going to have a very interesting conversation now. I would advise that if your children have not gone to school, and that you send them to another room. Because we want to have this conversation and we want to have it properly, and because there are lots of things that we have to deal with when it comes to this issue. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about sex, of course. This morning, we're joined in the studio, Uncle Ebo White. Last week, we told you about his new book, Let's Talk About Sex. And we're having that conversation today. We're going to talk about sex. And of course, Israel, reluctantly, is joining me to have this conversation with Uncle Ebo.
Oh. Israel, I really gracious to join me, not reluctantly. He was not reluctant.
Wow.
And don't send the children away. They know more about the subject than you think they do. So
I just say, as if you are ready to have those conversations with them.
So don't. Parents always underestimate how much the children know.
It's scary.
Yeah. You know, and yet the children, they are fine.
I'm telling you.
Anyway, Uncle Ebo, it's great to have you. So tell us about this book, Let's Talk About Sex. Or, okay, scratch that.
I have a specific question I want to get to. I don't know why you are trying to drain my... Please let me ask my question first.
All right.
So,
and
Uncle
a belated happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
We pray for you.
Amen.
Pray that this will be your best year yet.
Amen.
That laughter will never depart from you.
Amen.
And I know what you love. May it happen.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. It's a two-man conversation.
No, it's between daughter and father.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Mm.
Now, Uncle, do you know something?
No, I don't.
When I read the book, there was one aspect of it that I decided to talk to a lot of my male friends about.
Okay.
And that was oral sex.
Okay.
Because you talk about oral sex in the book. I mean, you talk about a lot of things: foreplay, intimacy, knowing your stuff, learning your skills,
afterglow, and all that,
trying new positions,
which a lot of men don't major in.
We'll come to that one.
Hey.
But oral sex is a big thing. There's a conception, preconception, out there that oral sex is unsafe.
Yes.
Can we just talk about why people think it's unsafe, how to have safe oral sex, and how important that aspect of sex is in a relationship, a committed or a marriage?
I think that it is not just oral sex. In fact, even sex itself. You know, when you write a book like this, then people come out of the woodwork with their stories. And one of the interesting stories that has followed me since this book came out is a man who said, my wife thinks sex is filthy. Her religion, her religious upbringing has pumped into her mind that sex is filthy. So there's nothing else my wife would allow. No foreplay, nothing. She thinks that she knows enough that couples can have sex. She thinks everything associated with sex is bad. So when you want sex, go straight into penetration. When you finish, get out. Let's go. Let's go and ask God for forgiveness and get on with our lives.
Ask God for forgiveness.
Yes, because we've done something that is filthy. We are permitted to do it, but it is still filthy. That is what she's been trained to do. So it is not just this. If you think of some of the sermons even that people preach about these things, even foreplay, people do not understand it. Why should you do it? Why should you kiss? Why should you fondle? Why should you caress? You want a thing, just go, do it, get up, go. Most of it taught by men. Because, easy, you and I, when we get an erection, we are ready to go.
Yes.
It's not the same thing with a woman. A woman needs to be prepared. A woman's whole mechanism needs to be started and it needs to be made ready for it. But for me, once Israel, all the young men here, once Kojo Mensah is on attention, hey, we are ready.
That's how we are originally wired.
That's how we are wired by default.
Okay.
But we can learn and do it right. And so I would not be surprised if there's anybody who is queasy about oral sex. And I'm going to say to that person, It's not the only thing about sex that you are crazy about. And it is often because of the way many of us were introduced to sex. Not too many of us got into sex willingly, or many of us were either forced into it. If you're a boy, you were shamed into it. Pressure, you know, they laugh at you, or sometimes they even created circumstances that made you do it. If you're a girl, you are likely to have been taken advantage of by a cousin, by an uncle. Quite often it begins from the home. Or by a boy in the neighborhood you thought you could count on. And then, so the first experience itself it's not that something to write home about.
It's not pleasurable.
It's not because it is not born out of your desire. And then you hear all this thing about it in the society, and so that also enforces your own experience that I didn't enjoy it, I didn't like it. And so that is why. So we have a lot of hang-ups when it comes to sex.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of hang-ups.
You say that people are not introduced. It's because of the way people are introduced to it.
Partly.
How should we be introduced to sex?
And that is why I'll be happy if a child is watching with the parents, and so they can talk with the parents and ask questions and get a conversation going. Because otherwise, what happens is that many of us, our first teachers of sex were peers who did not know any better. Except that we didn't know they didn't know any better. They shared with us their experiences from whatever misfortune that led them into this.
Yeah.
And then after they've gone through it a while, then they realize, okay, they begin to think that, okay, it's part of life. That's how life is. And then they begin to, have you done it before? Oh, you haven't done it before? Ah, there's something wrong with you. And then, oh, they said there's something wrong with me. I've got to do it some. I've got to do it. And then pressure comes and comes. I grew up in Kumasi, and in Kumasi, in my time, there was this saying that was used. It was so widespread. They would say that, hey, if you don't have sex, there's an illness that comes upon you.
Hey.
It will paralyze your whole body. And you stay that way until they go and look for some kaya man to have sex with you before you are free.
Wow.
And that scared the hell out of a lot of girls into having it.
Wow.
Where's the teaching?
But Uncle, I mean...
Even for couples, there's no teaching. A lot of, and I'll be surprised, a lot of marriage counseling in churches take this one out, or they skip over it. Yeah. And things like that. There's no training, because the counselor himself is not doing quite well at home. Do you understand? Especially when it's a husband and wife counseling you, it's a dicey thing, because in the areas where you are not doing well, Israel, you can't talk about it when your wife is sitting there.
Uncle Ebo, so how do you introduce us to sex? Introduce us to sex.
Part is about the reading of it. Talk with your parents, because sometimes when we are growing up, we think our parents don't know what's up. We forget that they've been young before. Yeah. And that is why we find it easier to talk with our peers than with our parents. But talk with your parents, talk with your auntie.
I'm looking at it as a young boy or a young girl.
Yes.
Maybe 13, 14, 15. What, you walk to your parents and
say, this is 10.
Yeah, so you walk
this is 10. One of my grandchildren at 8, girl, said, I am the only girl in my class without a boyfriend.
Okay.
Wow.
Well,
in an elite school.
Maybe friend, as in boyfriend.
No!
You're being such a parent now. Like, really? No.
I mean, boyfriend.
No, Israel.
As in a female friend.
No. When one of your colleagues come and say, that's my girlfriend, what comes into your mind?
Yeah, that I know.
One of your office colleagues.
Yeah, I know girlfriend, because they're old. But
no, okay, so it's the same thing.
Okay.
Life has changed. Life has changed. The life you and I grew up in, the world we grew up in, It's not the world. It's not the world.
No, okay. So, I mean, I know that.
Let me tell you a story. One of my friends is watching TV with the family. He has a child, he has a boy. The boy is 6. The girl is just about 4 at the time of this story. And he can see from the film that a sex scene was coming up. So he changed the channel. And the 6-year-old boy turned to the daddy and said, "Daddy, I know why you changed the channel." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you are going to have sex and you don't want us to see it." And he said, "But do you know what sex is?" He said, "Yes. Adjo and I have been trying to do it, but my thing is too small. It keeps coming out."
This is like, wow.
For once, I wish you were not wearing a mask so that people could see your face.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So, Uncle Ebo, I understand.
Don't underestimate what your children know.
I'm not underestimating.
And also, a lot of families are making the mistake of making boys and girls sleep in the same room because they are related. You know, like cousins and things like that. And that's where a lot of these things happen.
Yeah.
You know, parents saying that, nothing will happen. No, you lie bad. Let's be careful.
The point I'm making is I'm not underestimating that these things happen. All I'm just saying is when they say, when we're kids, yes, these things were happening. Mommy and Papa and all of that. But we're not...
Did you ever play that game?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
We're not going out to say, that's my boyfriend or that's my girlfriend. We didn't do that.
Yeah, because the culture in that time did not allow that kind of openness. But the culture now allows...
that.
I mean, and isn't it even better that our children would feel free to talk to us about it?
And I can understand that there's some kids who may be engaging in sex and all of that, but I would also want to believe that some just say it as in female friend and as in male friend.
Oh, does it make you feel better?
We don't always assume that if they say that, it means they're having sex.
Yo.
Okay.
Yo.
I think it makes you feel better.
Easy, yo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the question I keep asking. So you're a 4-year-old, 10-year-old girl, boy. You're saying we're talking about how to introduce them to sex. So you walk up to your parents and...
I think that, no, they are not going to even walk up to the parents. I think parents should begin to find ways of introducing the subject. Because fortunately for all of us, a lot of families, especially in the middle class, get to spend a lot of time with their children, except that they are not even aware they are spending that much time with their children when they are going to drop them in school.
Yeah.
And instead of daddy or mommy burying herself in her world and zoning out the children, that is a fantastic time because thanks to poor planning in Ghana, we spend a lot of time of our lives in traffic. And that is a unique opportunity to talk.
For some reason, children are quite chatty.
Yes.
On the drive to school and after school, for some reason.
When you allow them, when they know you are receptive to it.
Yeah.
But when you are a father, like easy and say, hey, shut up there, keep quiet there, then they get in there.
Exactly.
And then they all go on their gadget and they are...
So let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story of how my daughter asked me.
I want to put it on record that I'm not like that.
Well,
all right. I put it on record that I don't know he's like that. I just wanted to put a joke at you.
That's a good one. Let me tell you a story of how my daughter asked me. I think it was about 3 years ago. She was about 9. And she asked me, so, Mommy, you cry, you a virgin? And I was like, no, of course I'm not. I've had you. And she said, but Mary had Jesus and she was a virgin. And my answer was, are you Jesus? But that's when the shock, kind of war of that challenge. Look, it's either you're going to start these conversations or, your children, because we had our sex education from our friends and the kinds of things that we learned.
So let parents be... But first, the parents themselves will need to educate themselves in that and not be hypocritical about this. Many parents are too hypocritical. Sometimes we operate as if we forget what it felt like to be young.
Yeah, exactly.
And once you lose that credibility with your children because you are teaching them the right thing, you lose them completely and they don't want to come back to you. I like to create a kind of environment. I like parents to create a kind of environment where the children hear something about it, they can come back to you and say, this is what John in my class said,
yeah.
What is that? And then you can put it in context for them. Then you equip them. Because whether you like it or not, you have a child, that child is growing. Human beings are sexual creatures.
Yeah, basic instinct.
Yes, we are sexual creatures. So if you do not see your children in that light, that these are sexual creatures that I have brought into this world, you are in big trouble.
Uncle, I feel like the Lord led me to chapter 8 of your book.
Okay.
Because I picked it up and that's where we went.
All right.
And chapter 8 talks about what men need to understand about women and sex.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. Okay.
After that,
so,
you also asked a question about what women need to know about men.
That's also a chapter in the book.
Did you take the book and open it? You have to read it to a chapter. Hey, boss. Relax, relax. So, Uncle, do you want to take us through some of the needs or the things that women need for great
I think that what men do not understand is that for women, sex is connected to everything else. It's connected to the way I feel about you.
Yeah.
It's connected to the way I feel about myself. It's connected to the way I feel about this relationship. It's connected to the way I feel about this environment. All of that. And what men don't realize is, and I get this a lot, a man is offhand and shabby with his woman and still expect the woman to be nice. You snap at a girl, at a woman, and you want sexual attention. Of course, she's not going to get it because not that she's punishing you, not that she's being difficult. Her mechanism is such that everything is linked to that. And so the key that men need to know when they are, you have a woman in your life is be nice to the girl.
Okay.
Be nice to the girl because everything is born out of that. Your gestures, the way you speak to her. And I tell people that if you want sex in the evening, it should start the day before so that her mind begins to get ready for you.
So you say that the way the woman feels about sex is linked to several things.
Everything.
So about the way she feels about the environment, the way you spoke with her.
Yes. Whether the door has a lock or not.
Okay.
It's all part of it.
Do we need to have all of that in sync for it to happen, or you need just a couple of them?
I can see the man in you asking this question.
I'm like, I mean, somebody that like...
It's the man in you.
Wow.
No, he's being nice about it. The male in him is saying, Simba and crying. What kind of tall order?
So what is the shortest way I can't get to this? Wow. It's
simple sex, you want to have two, then you do.
Door locks and door knobs.
Because you can't.
Okay,
it will be possible for you to bring all of that together.
Oh, no. Being nice to the girl. That's why I summarize it. Be nice to the girl.
Yeah, so
be thoughtful and sensitive to the girl.
But that's just one.
No. That's the whole thing.
But you can't just be thoughtful and sensitive just when you want to have sex. Because after a while, we'll notice that you're only thoughtful
as soon as you say, "Hi, D, can I fish something for you?" No, I don't want it. I don't want it because they know this is going to happen. So let it be your relation. That's what I'm saying.
So
it has to do with how she feels about
the door lock is a problem.
No, because you see, when you and I have erection and we have a woman, we don't think of anything else. She is thinking about the whole environment. Is somebody going to stumble upon us? Are the children asleep? You don't think that, you don't care. If they're not asleep, let them stay in their room. We know children may not always stay in their room. So our life is very simple when it comes to this. We must understand that. And we must understand that for the woman, it is not that simple.
This sounds like Mission Impossible.
You look very disturbed.
Yes. Having to put all the things together.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay. So, for instance, being sweet to your wife this morning before you left the office, and before you left for the office, is that a high order?
No.
It is not.
It's not.
All right. In the course of the day, calling her to find how is it going with you? Oh, by the way, did you watch the interview with Uncle Bo? We had a very good time. Is that a tall order?
No.
All right, going home and getting a little parcel for her on the way, chocolate or something. Is that a tall order? All right, getting home and helping with the children.
No. The point I'm making is, are you supposed to send that message?
No.
Ask, call, send a parcel, all on the same day to win?
You're supposed to be doing that consistently over time.
Easy. You represent men.
Let me keep quiet.
You know, I know Easy. Easy is a sweet, loving man. He's playing the devil's advocate. So for those of you who know him, you know that he's playing the devil's advocate. But Easy, yes. The point is that we must understand that for the woman, it is not just that my husband wants sex, so give. My husband wants sex, but what does he spoke to me badly this morning. How can he have sex? And it's a genuine question for them. They get confused about that. My husband, we've had sex, then he gets up and goes to sleep in the hall. Why? Why wouldn't he cuddle me? Why wouldn't he hold me after it? Now, Israel is asking me, so do I have to have sex and cuddle her on the same time? Yes. If what you're having is called sex. Because a lot of, and anyone say this, if children were born out of good sex, a lot of marriages will be childless. Because sex in a lot of marriages are porous.
Okay.
And quite often, it is the man having release, having a discharge, having ejaculation. The woman being left high and dry. And that's why anytime I've heard a man say, my wife is so interested in sex, I laugh and say, no. There's no woman I know who is not interested in sex. What you should say is that my wife is not enjoying having sex with me.
Yeah.
Not that she's not interested in sex. Every woman loves sex. You know, so, but if you are not bringing her to orgasm, if you are not letting it be in the total context of the relationship, then women begin to feel used. And when a woman feels that he's using me, or even the worst, when you think that this thing he's doing, it means nothing to him. Why do I say it doesn't mean anything to him? Because he's doing the same thing with Ajua. He's doing the same thing in town with Amma.
Okay. Uncle Abu, now let me...
I thought you were getting up to go.
No, I'm bringing in this controversial bit,
all right,
which is something we should still talk about.
Okay.
So if it becomes so tough for people in a relationship, I'm saying tough because, realistically, that's what it is. I mean, for a lot of men, it's difficult to get all these things together.
No, it's not. Men did it. We did it during courtship.
Okay. But
we did it, so we know how to do it.
Let's
during courtship, nobody asks, what do I do today and what do I not do today? Do I have to bring all the elements together?
Let's be realistic. In a situation where the man is making a move,
yes,
and he gets resistance,
yes,
at some point,
making a move for sex, with a spouse,
okay, and gets resistance,
yes,
at some point,
yes,
the man is also going to feel like, okay, maybe there's somebody out there who will willingly give it to me and not ask for all.
But she won't willingly give it. She'll give it to you because you're doing the things you're not doing.
Did the man find out why my wife gave the resistance? Did he find out?
Kojo, your friend, did he find out?
I doubt they would.
He didn't. So he wasn't interested in the girl. He wasn't interested in the relationship. The woman in his life didn't mean that much because the least you could do is if an idea was wrong. What is it?
You know, sometimes, Uncle Ebo, you're not even going to get a response.
No, you don't get a response. At least, did you ask?
Ask. Yeah, you ask.
So what is it? Because
okay. There's nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong means that do you really care? Do you really care?
And you know.
No, that's the coding. That's the coding. Do you really care?
You hear?
So you say no. I know you. I know the way.
Is there anything wrong? No.
Or then no is easy. You should know. Why are you asking me? You should know. Again, it's a lot of patience. All the woman wants is, do you really care? Do you really care? And if you care, yes. I have found women to be so easy to relate to once you understand one code. convince me you care. Once you can convince me that you care, I'm yours.
But I can also tell you it doesn't apply in all instances. That
really?
you can do all you can, but it's still not working.
Why is it not working?
Yeah, sometimes it's just not working.
With your wife?
Yeah. There are instances that, you see, a partner will do all that they can, and yet the
man says, I'm doing all I can. You know, the interesting thing, I provide for her. Whatever she needs, I give.
That's not what even
I give.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, then define your.
I'm talking about putting the things right.
What things?
The door, the calling, the caring, and all of that. You can do all of that.
With the objective as having sex?
No, not with the objective as
Generally.
having sex. Generally.
And then what happens?
You're doing all of that, and yet
then?
you're not getting the kind of response.
There is something there. So at that point, if you can't get through to her to tell you, get a counselor. There's always somebody she will be willing to confide in. There is always a cause. Because I'm telling you, women love to please their men. They love to please their men. Because for them, their relationship defines them as well. You are defined by your job. Anyone will be defined by her relationship. That's why if a relationship is not going well and she comes to the office, she won't be nice to everybody. You can fight with your wife. As soon as you get into the car and drive here, you are easy, professional, no problem.
And this is why, Israel, you need to get the book. Yes, and this is why you need to get the book. If you're watching us, Uncle, can you let our viewers know where they can get the book from?
At the offices of Joy FM, at the airport Shell, Bachona Total, Committee 11 Shell.
Okay.
Or if you call 050-554-6010.
050-554-6010.
Someone would attend to you.
And Uncle, before you go, you have a new play, The Devil's Wife.
Devil's Wife.
Tell us about it.
Devil's Wife is one of my most exciting plays. It's a play. It's the first time we are doing it in Roverman, but it's not the first time it's being produced.
Okay.
I produced this play in the 80s. It's a play. It's one of the plays that I have fond memories of because I wrote it in a 12-hour blitz.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I remember the story kept haunting me. So one morning, I woke up in the morning, drove straight to the office, got to the office at 7 a.m., and I wrote without getting up to eat till 7 p.m. It was almost as if I was taking a dictation. It's never happened. I've never had that experience with any other story. The story just kept going. And when I finished the last thing and put the full stop there and looked at the time, it was 7 p.m.
Wow.
It's been a 12-hour blitz. I hadn't eaten.
Wow.
Because I was afraid if I got up, I would lose the train.
Yeah.
Because the story was just... And the trouble was keeping up with the flow of it. And I remember that very well. So it's a different kind of story. If you watched it, you know that it's a very different kind of a white story. And it's on the 4th and 5th of September, and then the week after, 11th and 12th of September at the National Theatre.
Yay!
And easy. I'm going to autograph a copy of this book for your wife.
All right. I'll be grateful.
And then when you give it to her, plead with her to allow you to read some.
Okay.
That's a good one. We will follow up with that. We'll follow up that. Well, thank you so much, Uncle Ibu, for joining us this morning and sharing your morning with us.
As always, and you need to know that you make me very proud.
Oh,
you make me very, very proud.
Easy.
Yeah. So.
Thank you so much.
You know, the first time I saw her was on your stage.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. And easy. Always making us. And there's an account statement. Oh.
Ah, yes.
Putting it in him. You are a credit to the Ghanaian man.
Thank you.
Beyond your ask question about, do we do all this to be From now on, I'll call you
Tolona. That's a good one. We love it, absolutely. And we love having Uncle Ibo here with us. Watch out for The Devil's Wife, 4th and 5th of September. And then the following week, 11th and 12th at the National Theatre, 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. But grab the book. You can come to Joy FM and get it. We have it here if you don't want to go too far. Don't go anywhere. We'll be...
in the play?
No.
No. You guys haven't given her enough free time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe next year. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, IB has a surprise for you. Don't go anywhere.